All right, so if you're thinking of moving to Surrey BC, or maybe you already live here and you're just kind of curious about what the cost of living in this city actually is, in this video, I'm gonna go over it with you guys. And I'm gonna tell you about the cost of housing, rent, goods and services, etc., etc. So stay tuned. I'm Thatagentkelly. I talk about Canadian real estate in my local market here in Abbotsford and the Fraser Valley. And if you get any value or entertainment from these videos, subscribe to my channel, please. And hey, drop a like so I can get this video out to more people like you who will maybe like this video. And if you want to chat about buying or selling, you can scroll down into my description, click on that link, and book yourself right into my calendar at a time that's convenient for you. All right, no wasting time. Let's get into the big one here, housing. Average price of a detached home across all of Surrey, all areas and detached homes combined, is $1.51 million. Average price of a townhome across all of Surrey is $812,000, and the average price of an apartment is $502,000, and this is actually much cheaper than I expected it to be. However, there are some areas in Surrey that are much cheaper than other areas. For example, it's probably much cheaper to buy a condo in Newton or Guildford than it would be in Surrey Central. So I actually pulled up the average pricing here. So you can get a condo in East Newton for $463,000 versus the average price of a condo in South Surrey being $571,000. So basically 20% cheaper in Newton than it would be in South Surrey. So it all really depends where you plan on living in Surrey. There are some cheaper areas in Surrey, and then there's some super expensive areas like, South Surrey. Fleetwood isn't exactly cheap anymore. Fraser Heights, Panorama Ridge, so on and so forth. Let's talk about rents. Median one-bedroom rent in Surrey is $1,850 a month. Median two-bed rent is $2,475 per month, and I've seen newer condos rent for as much as $2,900 a month. Three-bed rent is $2,900, and four-bed rent is $3,600 a month. The median household income in Surrey is only $78,000 a month. Now, I personally thought that this was way too low. I was like, there's no way, but I have searched far and wide, and I cannot find a higher number than this. However, when I did the Calgary versus Abbotsford video, I remember that Calgary was a little bit higher than Surrey. I think Calgary is like $84,000. So it makes sense that Surrey is $78,000. So if your rent is $3,000 a month and your household income is only $7,800, your after-tax income, basically almost 60% of it's gonna go to rent. A single person's estimated monthly costs are $1,258 a month before rent, and a family of four's estimated costs are about $4,400 a month before rent. So I think it's safe to say that you have to be making some pretty good coin to afford to live in Surrey. Now, that being said, you could either make good coin or you could have a decently high net worth and just buy a home, put down a large down payment, and then your mortgage expenses would be much less. Costs of goods and services now. I've decided to compare this section to Vancouver just to give us some, otherwise the values have no meaning. So I had to compare it to another city just so you guys can kind of get the gist. Average meal for two people is $83 in Surrey versus $100 in Vancouver. McDonald's is about the same at $11.50 a month. Milk is 20% cheaper. Bread is 25% cheaper. Rice is 12% more expensive in Surrey. Eggs are 14% cheaper. Cheese is 7% cheaper. Fruits and vegetables range anywhere from 8 to 45% cheaper, except for onions for some reason, which are 30% more expensive in Surrey. So not sure what's going on with the onion supply chain in Surrey. Cigarettes are 5% more expensive in Surrey. Internet and utilities are more expensive in Surrey, with basic heating, water, etc. almost being double the cost in Surrey versus Vancouver. It's about 83% more expensive for whatever reason. And internet is 13% more expensive in Surrey. Gasoline is only 1% cheaper in Surrey, and this actually surprised me. I know Abbotsford in comparison to Surrey is much cheaper. I think I get my gas out here for about 15% cheaper than I would in Surrey, but for whatever reason, when you make that change from Surrey to Vancouver, it's roughly the same. So anyways, Surrey in comparison to like a Toronto, New York, Vancouver is relatively affordable when you compare it to those other cities. But just like Vancouver, Toronto, and New York, it's a wealth-based city. If you come here with nothing and you try to make a living, just working your normal job, if you don't have a really high income, you are going to live paycheck to paycheck in this city, unfortunately. For the most part, it's a lot of wealthy immigrants moving here, baby boomers that purchased in the 90s, and the values of their homes exploded. Now they've got a lot of equity and a small mortgage amount. But in comparison to the bigger cities, it's still relatively affordable. That being said, if I were to compare the cost of living in Surrey to something like in Edmonton, you can buy a condo in Edmonton for literally 80 to 90% cheaper than you can buy it in Surrey for. I just saw a condo the other day. It was like a 2,000 something condo, 700 square feet, one bed, listed for 60 grand. And it would probably rent for like, $500 a month or something like that. Granted, probably not in the best area, but I mean, there's areas of Surrey that aren't that great either. Not only that, rents across the board in Edmonton are a fraction of the price, and gas is cheaper, and you don't pay PST out there. So overall, in the grand scheme of things, Surrey is not an affordable place to live whatsoever. But in comparison to the bigger cities it is, and hey, in Surrey, you get that nice mild weather that you really only get in a few places on Earth, where winter is usually above zero for the entire season, aside from maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Our summers are not blistering hot and 45 degrees. They're typically around 26, 27 for the most part. And spring, it pretty much just rains the entire season, but it is, above 10 degrees for the entire season. So you don't really get weather like that anywhere else in the world, and that's why people are willing to pay the price to live here. So anyways, if you're thinking about buying or selling in Surrey, I grew up there, I lived there for 22 years, I know the area in and out. Scroll down, book that call into my calendar. And again, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, man. Like this video, we'll see you on the next one. Peace.